Have you ever wondered why some people remain composed even in the face of extreme adversity, while others crumble at the slightest challenge? We spend our lives chasing peace, seeking it in wealth, fame, relationships, or even fleeting words of comfort. But if all of these things can vanish overnight, does the peace you cling to truly exist? Stoicism presents a truth that not everyone is ready to accept. Peace is not something you find outside. It is something you cultivate within. It does not come from avoiding hardship, but from the ability to face it head-on without wavering. This video will guide you through 8 simple yet powerful strategies to master your mind. Principles distilled from the wisdom of Stoicism, a practical toolkit for controlling emotions, cultivating discipline, and building unshakable inner strength in the face of life's uncertainties. Prepare yourself, because this journey isn't for those seeking only comfort. It's for those who truly want to grow stronger every single day. Number 1, embrace what is. You wake up one morning, glance at your phone, and see an unwelcome message. A critical project has failed. A close friend has walked away without a word. An incredible opportunity has slipped through your fingers at the last moment. In that instant, a wave of helplessness floods your mind. Why is this happening to me? The question repeats like a broken record. But what is the reality? It has happened. It cannot be undone. And your reaction is what determines whether you sink deeper into suffering or rise stronger than before. Stoicism teaches that the path to inner peace doesn't lie in controlling the world around us, but in mastering how we respond to it. Accept reality as it is. This doesn't mean surrendering or becoming passive. On the contrary, it's an act of strength, a deliberate choice to redirect your energy from what you cannot change to what you can control. As Epictetus once said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens happens the way it happens. Then you will be happy." If you embrace reality instead of resisting it, you gain an advantage that few possess: the ability to remain unshaken, no matter the circumstance. Imagine driving down a long road when, suddenly, a heavy storm begins. You could curse the rain, get frustrated, and complain that it has ruined your plans. But what good would that do? The rain will continue to fall, indifferent to your resistance. Or you could turn on some music, watch the raindrops glide across the windshield, and adjust your plans accordingly. The difference between a miserable day and a peaceful one isn't the rain, it's how you choose to respond to it. But how do you apply this principle in real life? It sounds simple in theory, but when faced with unexpected setbacks, how can you truly maintain composure? The answer lies in 3 simple yet powerful steps. The first step is to recognize when your mind is resisting reality. When you feel frustration, disappointment, or stress about a situation, pause and ask yourself, "Can I change this?" If the answer is no, any negative reaction is simply wasted energy. For example, if your flight is delayed, getting angry won't make the plane take off any sooner. But you can use that time to read, reflect, or rest. When you start viewing situations this way, you'll realize that most daily frustrations stem not from the events themselves, but from how you react to them. Once you've identified your resistance, the next step is to shift your perspective from opposition to adaptation. Instead of thinking, "This shouldn't have happened," ask yourself, "How can I make the best of this?" Treat every challenge as mental training. If a project you poured your heart into fails, rather than drowning in disappointment, ask, what can I learn from this? As Marcus Aurelius put it, what stands in the way becomes the way. The obstacles we face are often the very paths we need to take. A closed door may be a sign that it's time to find a new one, perhaps a better one than you ever imagined. Finally, Stoics emphasize the importance of actively managing your emotions. This is the most crucial step, not just accepting reality, but reshaping your emotional response to it. One of the most effective Stoic techniques is negative visualization, mentally preparing for adversity. Before bed or in the morning, take a moment to imagine possible challenges. A stressful workday, a difficult meeting, a loved one facing trouble. But instead of panicking, prepare yourself mentally to handle them with composure. When difficulties arise, you won't be shocked or overwhelmed because you've already trained your mind to face them. Acceptance is not defeat, it is the wiser path. Instead of banging on a wall, look for the door. Instead of sinking into resentment, find a way to adapt. Those who understand this do not waste their energy fighting reality. They live with purpose, but without struggle. Like a bamboo bending in the wind, they adjust to the storms of life without breaking. And once you've learned to accept the present as it is, there's one more thing to let go of: the past. You cannot change what has happened, but you can change how you see it. What if your failures, heartbreaks, and mistakes were no longer burdens, but lessons that shaped you into who you are today? Let's explore that answer in the next lesson. Number 2, let go of the past. Letting go of the past doesn't mean forgetting. It means freeing yourself from the invisible chains that hold your mind captive. Imagine walking across a narrow bridge, carrying a heavy load, mistakes, regrets, painful memories. With every step, the weight drags you down, making it impossible to move forward. But here's the truth: most of what you're carrying no longer serves a purpose. They're mere shadows, existing in memory, but having no real power over your present. So why keep holding on to them? Stoicism doesn't teach us to ignore the past. It teaches us to accept it, learn from it, and then let it go. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now, take what's left and live it properly." When we see the past as something that has already ended, we realize that only the present truly matters. But how do we actually let go, rather than allowing the past to haunt us? First, recognize that the past has no power except for what we give it. The mistakes you made, the regrets you hold, they're nothing more than fragmented memories in your mind. But if you keep revisiting them, they become chains that bind you to a life that no longer exists. The first step to letting go is acknowledging a simple truth: what's done cannot be changed. You can blame yourself 1,000 times, but it won't alter reality. The real question is not, what if I had done things differently, but what can I do now to ensure I don't make the same mistake again? Yet sometimes, people cling to the past not because they want to, but because they don't know how to exist without it. Guilt and regret can become part of one's identity, making us feel as if letting go means losing a part of ourselves. It's a terrifying paradox. The pain of the past, though damaging, can feel like a familiar anchor. This is especially true for those who have suffered great loss. But have you ever asked yourself whether holding on to that pain truly honors what was lost? Or does it only keep you trapped in a cycle of suffering? Letting go doesn't mean disregarding the lessons of the past. It means accepting them as part of the journey. A practical exercise is to write down what you're holding on to: a mistake, an old relationship, a failure that haunts you. Then ask yourself, does this still have any real impact on my life today, or am I keeping myself imprisoned by it? Sometimes, just seeing it on paper makes you realize it doesn't hold as much power as you thought. Letting go also requires a shift in how you see yourself. If you continue to define yourself by past mistakes, you will never recognize the potential of the present. Try looking at a mistake that once caused you deep pain. Now, instead of seeing it as a stain, view it as proof of growth. The person you are today is no longer the person you were back then. If you can look in the mirror and no longer feel shame or regret, that is the moment you have truly let go. But the most important thing is practice. No one wakes up one morning and suddenly forgets everything that once haunted them. Letting go is a process, a choice you must make every single day. There will be moments when the past tries to pull you back, old memories resurfacing, regrets whispering in your ear. But when that happens, remind yourself, you no longer live in those moments. You are here, in this present moment, with a life still waiting to be lived. If this message resonates with you, hit like to let me know that we are not alone in this journey. And don't forget to subscribe, because whenever I discover something new, I want you to be the first to experience it with me. Number 3. Anchor in the present. The human mind is like a boat drifting on the river of time. If left unchecked, it is easily swept away by two of the strongest currents: regret over the past and anxiety about the future. But there is one place where these currents cannot pull you, an anchor point in the present. When you drop anchor in this moment, the past can no longer hold you back, and the future loses its grip. What remains is you, truly living, truly feeling, truly existing. And yet, strangely enough, living in the present is one of the hardest things for us to do. We eat without tasting, talk without truly listening, work with our minds wandering to the next day. We don't live, we merely pass through time like fleeting shadows. But try stopping for a moment. Close your eyes and listen, really listen, to the sounds around you, the wind, the hum of traffic, the rhythm of your own breath. At that moment, is anything missing? No, everything is complete. Everything is unfolding as it should, and you are truly alive. Peace is not found in the past or the future. It exists only in this moment. The Stoics understood this well. They did not chase happiness in tomorrow or mourn the loss of yesterday. They poured their entire will into the present. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Confine yourself to the present, not tomorrow, not yesterday, this very moment." But how do we truly hold on to the present instead of letting it slip through our fingers like grains of sand? Start with the simplest act. Pay attention to what you are doing. When you drink water, feel the coolness as it flows down your throat. When you walk, notice each step touching the ground. When you speak to someone, look into their eyes and really listen. These may seem insignificant, but they are the key to inner stillness. Because when you are fully present, your mind has no room for regret or worry. It simply exists. But don't mistake living in the present for ignoring the future. A swordsman cannot focus only on the blade before him while neglecting the larger battle strategy. Yet, He also cannot win if his mind is consumed by the next attack, instead of being fully engaged in the present moment. The key is not to abandon planning, but to understand that plans only have value if you use this very moment to act. One simple yet powerful way to bring your mind back to the present is to use your breath as an anchor. When you catch yourself lost in thought, take a deep breath. Feel the air filling your lungs, then release it slowly. The breath never belongs to the past or the future. It always happens here and now. By returning to your breath, you bring your mind back to the present. When we fully live in the present, time seems to stand still. Have you ever experienced a moment when everything felt suspended in time? A breathtaking sunset, an uncontrollable burst of laughter, a state of deep focus so intense that the world around you fades away. That is when the mind and the present become one. And in that moment, all worries dissolve because they never truly existed here. However, to maintain this state, we must sometimes learn when to pause. A person who is constantly running cannot feel the ground beneath their feet. A mind that is always thinking cannot see the bigger picture. So the next step in this journey is not just to live in the present, but to know when to stop, to pause with purpose, to gain clarity, to make wiser choices. Not just to live, but to live fully. Number 4, pause with purpose. We often think that achieving more means constantly moving forward, working relentlessly without rest. But perhaps the greatest paradox of productivity is this. Sometimes, the fastest way to deep focus isn't pushing yourself to do more, but knowing when to stop. Think back to those moments when you were trapped in an endless loop of thoughts, or when you threw yourself into work only to feel more exhausted, more overwhelmed. That is precisely when a short pause can become the key to restoring your energy, clearing the chaos in your mind, and returning to your natural clarity. The ancient Romans had a fascinating concept, otium. It wasn't just about resting. It was a meaningful state of stillness, where one could reflect, connect with inner wisdom, and prepare for the next action with renewed strength. In today's world, we can practice this by deliberately taking a few minutes each day to reset our minds. It could be as simple as closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, and letting your thoughts drift weightlessly for a moment. It could be stepping away from the screen, gazing out the window, and observing the world with gentle awareness. Or even simpler, putting down your pen, loosening your body, and allowing yourself to be fully present in this very moment. There's an interesting truth. The greatest minds in history deeply understood the power of pausing. Leonardo da Vinci once said, "Every now and then go away, have a little relaxation, for when you come back to your work, your judgment will be surer." The Stoics were no exception. Marcus Aurelius wrote a profound line in his journal. "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." Retreat to this inner sanctuary often. A peaceful refuge isn't some distant place, it's within your own mind. And to access it, you must know how to pause. Try this small experiment. The next time you feel stressed or unfocused, instead of forcing yourself to push through, pause for just 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, and become fully aware of your existence in this moment. Do you feel the difference? In such a short time, your heart rate may slow, your thoughts may settle, and a strange sense of calm may begin to emerge. This isn't magic, it's how our brain functions. A purposeful pause helps the nervous system switch channels, shifting from overstimulation to relaxation, ultimately improving focus and decision-making. But how do we turn this into a habit rather than just a fleeting trick? The answer lies in intentionality. Build small pause points into your schedule. Before starting an important task, take a minute to regain your stillness. When finishing one task, resist the urge to immediately jump to the next. Pause instead, relax, and let your mind absorb what just happened. You can even use a simple mantra like pause, breathe, observe, to remind yourself to return to the present moment. When you practice this long enough, you'll realize that stillness doesn't just come from the moments you stop. It begins to seep into the moments when you are in action. You'll no longer feel the need to race against time, nor be caught in the whirlwind of meaningless tension. Instead, you'll work with deeper focus, think with greater clarity, and above all, experience an unshakable inner peace. And now, we've reached the halfway point in our journey of discovering strategies to cultivate a calmer, more resilient mind. If you've made it this far, it's a clear sign that you're serious about investing in yourself, and that is truly valuable. Affirm your commitment by commenting, "Control my mind." But remember, a picture is only complete when all its pieces come together. The next parts will continue to unveil new perspectives, helping you master your mind in a profound and lasting way. Stay with us, because what you've been searching for might just be in the moments ahead. Number 5. Master your thoughts. The human mind, if left untrained, is no different from an untended garden. Weeds of negative thoughts, baseless anxieties, and illusions detached from reality will naturally sprout, overwhelming the seeds of peace and wisdom. But unlike weeds in nature, these negative thoughts do not simply disappear on their own. They take root, grow, and can engulf the soul if we do not consciously take control. That is why mastering our thoughts is not just an option. It is a crucial mission for achieving clarity and inner tranquility. The Stoics understood this well. They did not attempt to control the external world, but instead focused on the one thing within their power, their own thoughts. Marcus Aurelius captured this principle in a lesser-known yet profoundly powerful quote: "Your mind will take the shape of what you frequently hold in thought, for the human spirit is colored by such impressions." The thoughts we entertain most often shape our minds. If we allow fear, regret, or resentment to dominate, we are the ones painting our inner world with dark, oppressive colors. But if we learn to filter and direct our thoughts, we can transform our minds into places of clarity, strength, and freedom. So how do we master our thoughts? The first step is awareness, recognizing the thoughts that influence us. Where do they come from? Are they truly beneficial, or are they just automatic responses of the mind? Most of the worries we create do not reflect reality. They are merely shadows cast by our imagination. A person rejected from a job is not facing a catastrophe, but if they keep telling themselves, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never succeed," it is these very thoughts that imprison them. Imagine the mind as a river where countless thoughts flow through. We cannot stop them from appearing, but we can choose which ones to hold on to and which ones to let drift away. Once we identify these thoughts, the next step is changing our relationship with negativity. Many people try to fight their negative thoughts, but the more they resist, the stronger these thoughts become. The goal is not suppression, but objective observation. When a negative thought arises, ask yourself, does this thought serve me? Does it reflect the truth? Is it worth my time and energy? Instead of blindly believing everything the mind presents, become a strict gatekeeper, only allowing thoughts of real value to stay. Try writing down the thoughts that frequently replay in your mind. This practice helps you see them more clearly instead of getting lost in unconscious spirals. When reading them back, you'll begin to recognize which beliefs are irrational, which fears are baseless, and how to shift your perspective accordingly. We often assume that our way of thinking is fixed, but in reality, most mental patterns can be changed. A chronic worrier can learn to think more realistically. A person prone to self-criticism can cultivate self-compassion. Change does not happen instantly, but like training a muscle, the more we practice, the stronger our ability to master our minds becomes. However, if we cling too tightly to the idea of controlling every thought, we risk falling into another trap: stress and obsession. That's why another key aspect of mastering the mind is knowing when to let go. Not every thought needs to be analyzed, and not every inner battle needs to be fought. Sometimes, the best way to master the mind is to simply let it flow naturally, like a silent observer standing by the river, watching the water pass without trying to control every wave. Number 6, detach with grace. Have you ever felt like you were gripping a rope in the middle of a storm, your hands bleeding, but too afraid to let go? We cling to things, relationships, jobs, dreams, believing that if we hold on tightly enough, they'll never slip away. But the tighter we grip, the more exhausted we become. The more we try to control, the more anxious we feel. And the saddest part, we rarely realize that sometimes it's the very act of clinging that causes our suffering. Imagine standing on a wooden bridge spanning a rushing river. Beneath you, the current carries everything along: fallen leaves, broken branches, small stones worn smooth by the flow. If you reach down and try to grasp a passing leaf, you'll only lose your balance, maybe even fall into the river. But if you remain still, simply observing, the water continues to flow, yet your mind remains steady. This is the difference between attachment and peaceful acceptance. Stoicism doesn't teach us to be indifferent. It teaches us to love wisely, to be attached without being shackled, to give our hearts fully without the fear of disappointment. If someone we love drifts away, if an opportunity slips through our fingers, if life unfolds differently than we had hoped, we may feel sorrow, but we don't have to lose ourselves in it. We can feel regret without tormenting ourselves with endless what-ifs or if-onlys. A peaceful mind isn't one devoid of emotion. It's one strong enough not to be swept away by what it cannot control. Think about the things you cherish: a friend, a loved one, a job, a dream. Now, imagine them as birds in the sky. They come to you, bringing joy and connection, but they may take flight at any moment. You can welcome them, savor every moment they're with you. But if one day they fly away, should you be so consumed by grief that you lose yourself? Or can you smile, knowing that you cherished them fully, loved them deeply, without needing to hold on? Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The less we cling to what's beyond our control, the less we worry, the less we suffer. When we no longer fear loss, we can truly appreciate what we have. When we no longer fear failure, we can give ourselves fully to life, unburdened by the weight of expectations. But letting go isn't easy. Human nature craves control, seeks certainty. So, practice little by little. The next time you feel anxious or restless about something, a harsh remark, a fractured relationship, a plan not unfolding as expected, pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this within my control? If it's not, let it drift by like a leaf on the river. If it is, act with all your heart, but don't let your mind be shackled by the outcome. Over time, you'll realize that serenity has never been found in the outside world. It has always been within you. Maybe it's time we learn to love without clinging, to appreciate without possessing, to strive without fearing failure. Because a peaceful mind doesn't come from having everything, but from knowing we don't need everything to be happy. Have you ever let go of something only to realize it was the best decision you ever made? Share your story. You never know. It might be the inspiration someone else needs to find their own peace. Number 7. Cultivate gratitude. Gratitude, a concept that seems simple, is in fact the key to shifting the mind from a state of lack to one of wholeness. A person may possess vast treasures, but if he fails to see their value, they are nothing more than meaningless stones to him. Conversely, another person with only a modest meal may feel a deeper sense of abundance simply because he cherishes every bite. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of having what you do not have, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours." This is a powerful wake-up call. We are always yearning for more, yet we forget that many of the things we have today were once the very dreams we longed for yesterday. But why is gratitude so difficult to practice? Because the human mind is not programmed to focus on what it already has. It behaves like a restless wanderer, always searching, always feeling insufficient, always chasing something just out of reach. And therein lies the paradox. Those who have more, if they do not cultivate gratitude, often feel the emptiest. Meanwhile, those who appreciate even the smallest blessings are rich, even with little to their name. Some may think that gratitude is merely a mindset, but in reality, it is a skill, one that can be trained. Try something simple each morning before diving into the rush of the day. Instead of thinking about work deadlines or looming stress, ask yourself, what is something I feel lucky to have today? It could be a restful sleep, an engrossing book, or simply another day to be alive. When gratitude becomes a habit, we are retraining our brain, teaching it to find joy in the most ordinary moments. The incredible thing is that science supports this strategy. Neuroscientific studies show that practicing gratitude regularly stimulates the brain to release serotonin and dopamine, chemicals that promote happiness and relaxation. This doesn't just provide a temporary boost. Over time, it rewires our response to life itself. Like physical exercise strengthens muscles, gratitude strengthens the mind, making it more resilient in the face of adversity. Yet gratitude is not reserved only for pleasant experiences. A true Stoic understands that even life's hardships can be gifts in disguise. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the obstacle is the way. Every challenge is an opportunity for growth. If we can be grateful not just for success, but also for failure, setbacks, and difficulties, we will no longer fear them. A storm may break weak branches, but it also strengthens the roots. A failure may cause pain, but it can also provide the lessons needed to emerge stronger next time. When we embrace gratitude even for life's struggles, we stop seeing ourselves as victims of circumstance and instead become the masters of our own destiny. Imagine waking up one morning to find that everything you love is gone. Your home no longer exists. Your loved ones have vanished. Your health, your opportunities, everything is taken away. If you had known this would happen yesterday, how much would you have cherished each moment? But the truth is, today, you still have all these things. You just rarely take the time to truly see them. And this is the ultimate test of gratitude. Can we live each day as if we had lost everything, only to be given it all back once more? And when we begin to truly appreciate each moment, something remarkable happens. We start wanting to understand ourselves on a deeper level. No longer distracted by external desires, we begin to ask, am I truly living the way I want? What thoughts or beliefs must I change to move forward? This is when we step into Stoicism's final lesson, self-reflection for growth. If gratitude allows us to find peace in the present, then reflection enables us to evolve, not just to be at peace, but to walk forward with strength and purpose. Number 8. Reflect to evolve. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors, unless with a view to some mutual benefit. Think about yourself instead, about the life you have left to live." Most people spend their days evaluating the world around them, yet forget to turn the mirror inward. It is like steering a ship without ever checking the map. You move, but are you actually progressing or merely drifting? Reflection is not about self-recrimination or drowning in regret. It is a tool for course correction. The past cannot be changed, but it can be studied, learned from, and used to master the future. But how do we reflect without falling into a spiral of negativity? Imagine each day as a piece of music. As the sun sets, the musician sits back and listens. There were missed notes, pauses that shouldn't have been there, but also moments of inspiration. They do not judge themselves with regret, but with understanding. This is how reflection should be practiced, not as a verdict passed on oneself, but as a fine-tuning of the symphony that is one's life. One simple yet powerful practice is journaling at the end of the day. Not long, not complex, just 3 questions. What did I do well today? What could I have done differently? And what will I adjust tomorrow? This is not nostalgia, but refinement. A Stoic does not merely live one life. They live many, because each day they are reborn with a deeper understanding of themselves. What's surprising is that many people fear reflection. It is like standing before a magnified mirror, unable to hide from one's flaws, mistakes, and unspoken fears. But if we do not dare to see ourselves clearly, how can we ever change? No warrior enters battle without inspecting their weapons. Life is no different. If we do not examine ourselves, we do not truly live. We merely react. Yet reflection is not just about identifying mistakes. It is also about acknowledging progress. In a world where people fixate on their shortcomings, recognizing personal growth is an act of self-nourishment. An imperfect day is not a failed day. If, each evening, you can look back and see that you were a little kinder, a little more patient, a little calmer than yesterday, that is success. Great achievements are not made through sudden leaps, but through small, consistent adjustments. Think of an architect building a house. If they never check the blueprint, the structure may slowly become unstable, though no one notices until it collapses. The same is true for the mind. Without regular self-examination, negative habits, limiting beliefs, and unconscious reactions accumulate, forming walls that separate us from our highest potential. Reflection is the tool that tears down these walls, allowing us to build on a more solid foundation. How can you sustain this habit? Make it a sacred ritual, like a craftsman sharpening his blade each night. Take just 5 minutes before bed to reflect. Write down what you've learned and, most importantly, commit to even the smallest adjustment for the next day. This one habit, maintained over time, can create profound transformation. You do not need to become a perfect person overnight, only to ensure that each day you are not the same as yesterday. To reflect to evolve is not just a mental exercise, it is a way of being. The more you practice it, the less you become trapped in cycles of repeated mistakes, mindless reactions, or unconscious habits. You begin to live with intention. The most important question you can ask yourself at the end of the day is not, "What mistakes did I make?" but "What did I learn?" And if, each day, you can answer that meaningfully, then evolution is already taking place. We've just explored 8 simple yet powerful strategies for mastering your mind through Stoicism. These principles aren't distant philosophies or abstract theories. They are practical tools to help you cultivate inner peace amid life's constant turbulence. Peace of mind isn't something someone else can give you, nor is it some distant destination. It's a journey you take, step by step, every single day. By mastering your thoughts, accepting what you cannot change, and strengthening your inner resilience, you won't just find tranquility, you'll become the strongest version of yourself. If you found this video helpful but haven't hit like yet, take a second to do so now. It really helps support me. Don't forget to leave a comment and share your thoughts. Which strategy resonated with you the most? Which one will you start applying today? And if you know someone searching for inner peace, send this video their way. Lastly, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on more profound insights, because the journey to mastering your inner world has only just begun. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.